We will make it clear, once again, that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant. ICE operates here in New York, in our courthouses, our workplaces. They skulk at 26 Federal Plaza, the same building where I waited in fear as my father had his citizenship interview. If these are not attacks upon the stranger among us, what is? ICE is more than a rogue agency. It is a manifestation of the abuse of power. And it is also new. It was founded only in 2002. 4 mayors ago, it did not exist. Its wrongs need not be treated as inevitable or inherited. In fact, we know that there is no reforming something so rotten and so base. I think of a story that Reverend Galbraith, the senior pastor at Clarendon Road Church who is here with us today, shared recently. 2 Haitian immigrants in his congregation, a father and son, had traveled to 26 Federal Plaza for fingerprinting. The man's wife, the boy's mother, had gone the week before without incident. They thought little of the trip. It was routine. In New York, surely, one would be safe at an appointment like this. And then without explanation or warning, they were whisked away. ICE took them first to the Brooklyn Detention Center. The next day, they were flown to Louisiana. They felt hopeless and helpless, Reverend Galbraith said. Hopeless and helpless. If these are not attacks upon the stranger among us, what is? As the federal government attacks our neighbors, those who worship in just the next pew over, they command us not to believe what we see. They compel us, as George Orwell wrote nearly 80 years ago, to reject the evidence of our eyes and our ears. And they would succeed, were it not for the many among us who have not only read the Scripture, but who live the Scripture. Those who refuse to abandon the stranger. I speak of Renee Good, whose final words to the man who murdered her moments later were, "I'm not mad at you." I speak of Alex Preddy, who died as he lived, caring for the stranger. Here was a man who held the hand of the afraid and the afflicted in their final moments. Here was a man who dedicated his life to healing those he had never met. ICE shot him 10 times because he did something they could never fathom doing themselves. He extended his arm towards a stranger, not to push her down, but to help her up. I speak of the tens of thousands across our city and our nation who took to snowbound streets in the dead of winter, refusing to allow those with the most power to impose their will upon those with the least. If that is not love for the stranger among us, what is? In a moment such as this, I look to the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches us that the highest calling is to become someone who sees the true equality of all living beings and responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were their own. Each of us has been a stranger at one point in our lives. Each of us has known the feeling of arriving somewhere new alone, of depending on the kindness of someone else. As ICE fosters a culture of suspicion and fear, let this city of strangers set an example for how to make the sorrows of others our own. Let us offer a new path, one of defiance through compassion. In so doing, we can offer something more expansive and durable than a mere rejection of atrocity. We can rely on our faith to offer an embrace of one another. After all, few forces hold as much power to extend humanity to all. As Dr. King once said, the church is the one place where a doctor ought to forget that he's a doctor. The church is the one place where the lawyer ought to forget that he's a lawyer. When the church is true to its nature, it says, "Whosoever will, let him come." That doctrine, "Whosoever will, let him come," is not limited to Christianity. Each of our faiths asks us the same. I think of Exodus 23:9, the words of the Torah. "Thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt." Few have stood so steadfast alongside the persecuted as Jewish New Yorkers. I think of Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman, who gave their lives alongside James Chaney so that all could exercise the right to the franchise. I think of Rabbi Heschel, who marched from Selma alongside Dr. King. And I think of Yip Harburg, who wrote Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and uplifted Americans waiting on bread lines during the Great Depression. I think of the freedom from suffering that Buddhism teaches us is only possible if we remove the three poisons of desire, hatred, and ignorance from our daily lives. We need not accept suffering as unchangeable. We need not treat hatred as the natural state. We have the power to set ourselves free. And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, "As for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world." Or, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers." If faith offers us the moral compass to stand alongside the stranger,
it will be interesting to see what Shahid Bolson has to say about this speech. I think this is a speech that is going to last forever. I really do. Hello? Not an idol. It's a statement. We've got more in common with this guy than we have that fucking Trump idiot. And that Hanson fucking gronk. Than all of them. Is this the false peace that we're going to get? I don't think so. Is this the good-looking rise of the beast? I don't think so. I'm thinking they're already in power. I think, like I said, I'm starting to pivot on the idea that I think maybe we're a little bit further along than what I thought. Maybe we're not behind. Maybe it's not a case of we're not in Revelation yet. Maybe we're slap bang in it. Let's not almost catch up on fire again. Beef, not pork. I don't eat pork. Bad, yeah. Not food. He does mention the word religion a couple of times, but he's not talking about religion, he's talking about faith. Jesus is in the Quran. Just as much as he's in Torah. Slightly different opinions on who Jesus is. However, the teachings remain the same. Get your head out of the religion and keep your eyes on Christ. That's all I'm going to say. The religion's bad for you. Walk with the man. Stop following the plan.
Government can provide the resources. Let us create a new expectation of City Hall, where power is wielded to love, to embrace, and to protect. We will stand with the stranger today, tomorrow, and all the days that are still to come.
Welcome to the next generation of website creation, Wix Harmony. Get the power of AI and the freedom of drag
I'm not
and drop.
interested. Stop throwing it at me. I hate it.
And that is why this morning, right here in this moment, I shall sign an executive order that will uphold our city's protection not just of our fellow immigrant New Yorkers, but of all New Yorkers from abusive immigration enforcement. This order is a sweeping reaffirmation of our commitment to our immigrant neighbors and to public safety as a whole. We will make it clear once again that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant. That means our schools, our shelters, and our hospitals. That means we will protect New Yorkers' private data from being unlawfully accessed by the federal government and stand firmly against any effort to intrude.
We need to bring this shit back in. You cannot enter people's homes and cannot trespass on people without a judicial warrant. It's how the law was supposed to be. What we've got at the moment is not law, it's government legislature. And government legislature will only lead you to Nazism. I better press play for you, eh?
Intrude on our privacy. No New Yorker should be afraid to apply for city services like childcare because they are an immigrant. This order mandates that essential city agencies are complying with city laws and directs them to conduct thorough audits of all policies guiding agency interactions with immigration authorities. And it will establish an interagency response committee so that in the event of a major crisis, we are ready and equipped to do the job of protecting New Yorkers. We will create a centralized mechanism for coordinating policy across agencies so that government speaks with one voice in times of need. City Hall will not look away. But we need our faith leaders with us. Your moral clarity, your integrity, they are the pillars upon which countless movements for justice have been built. Many of you have long practiced the tradition of supporting the forgotten and the downtrodden. When our immigrant neighbors are in trouble, they often turn first to their faith networks for counsel, for legal aid, for someone to accompany them to court. Today, I call upon you to help us give language to courage. Help us remind New Yorkers that they are not alone. We have prepared 30,000 guides to New Yorkers' rights in 10 languages, the ones most spoken by some of the most heavily targeted populations in our city, teaching our neighbors what to do if ICE targets them. These guides are here today, ready for you to take. If you run out, we will print more. I urge you to share these with your congregants, even those who are citizens, even those whom you think ICE may not target. These materials apply to us all. Those who have been here for 5 generations, those who arrived last year. They apply to us all because the obligation is upon us all to love thy neighbor, to look out for the stranger. If we are to truly champion the cause of the stranger, let these materials serve as instructions for how to stand in solidarity. If anything can turn back the rising tide of hatred, it is a chorus of those who worship differently and live differently, singing the same undaunted song. For we are all New Yorkers, and yet that has not always been accepted. My friends, for as long as people have called this city their home, a question has been contested. Who is a New Yorker? At each juncture, many have sought to narrow the answer. The stranger has been ostracized on job postings, on placards denying entry to restaurants and shops, in neighborhoods where only some New Yorkers were allowed to live. Every conceivable crack has been exploited into a chasm of division. On every occasion where the forces of darkness have raised the question, who is a New Yorker? The people of the city have offered our own answer. All of us. And yet we know that answer is not permanent, nor is it predetermined. Each generation must assert what we know to be true, because New York serves as living proof. We are stronger when we welcome the stranger. This will not be an easy contest. Those on the other side, the ice agents of the world,
It would be if you hit
power
me.
and weaponry and a sense of impunity. And yet we hold one advantage over them. One advantage that no matter how hard they try, they cannot overcome.
Well, man, it put me
As
through
they
a wall
mask
for
their
that.
faces to attack and murder. We are not ashamed of our answer. So let us answer the question, who is a New Yorker, once more, with conviction and without shame. It is all of us. So together, New York, let us advance the cause of the orphan. Together, New York, let us advance the cause of the widow. Together, New York, let us love the stranger among us, because we are them, and they are us. Thank you.
So what are we meant to do with that? What do we do with that? Well, boy, I was eating, haven't I? I think I'd be a big fat bastard, wouldn't I? You got to show I'm always active. I'm not a lazy ass. Yeah. Nothing more. What are we meant to do with that? Exactly that. You think maybe it's high time that we put our ingrained, indoctrinated, propagandized prejudices outside and kicked them to the curb where it belongs? Do you think maybe it's time that we started to treat you do you, boo-boo, the way it's supposed to be treated? You do you, boo. You go on, you do you. But you do you. Don't try and force it on others. I'm not trying to force anything on you. If anything, I'm trying to relieve you of a weight. I'm trying to relieve you of your burdens. What you do is on you. But remember, you know what the problem is with this failed democracy is? In order for there to be a winner, there has to be a loser in everything. Democracy has failed. The experiment's done. It's done for. Politicians, pack your bags and don't let the door hit you on the arse on the way out. That's all I can say. That's all I've got to say to any of you, really. You haven't got a clue. You actually, a lot of them go in thinking they're going to make a difference just to make everything the same. It doesn't work. How many years have you been trying this shit? How many years has every single person that's gone into politics thinking they're going to go in and make a difference just to make everything the same? the definition of insanity much? Put your religion away, there's a good boy. We don't want to see it. Oh, faith? Absolutely. We love to see faith. We love to see people helping each other, living the dream, lifting each other up, making sure that nobody gets left behind. Now, we live in a system that has an NDIS for special needs people. People that need that little bit extra care. And what do they get? Kept where they are. They get left behind. They get kept where they are. In no man's land. I know. We live in a bureaucracy. It's not even a democracy, even though democracy's failed. We live in a bureaucracy. Where people make money off those who get left behind. I have a son with level 2 autism. 19 now. He'll be 20 this year. For the last almost a year now. Almost a year. You guys do it. About 8 months. 9 months. He's been learning to read and write. From the start. It turns out he can. Psychological evaluations, so-called special needs teachers, all the educators under the sun. He'll probably never read and write. I got sick of hearing that. It took me a weekend to teach him basic mathematics, and I'm not great at maths. It's probably why I was able to do it. So I showed him the most basic of basic ways, which was the way that I was taught way back in the day. So if we can add up numbers between 1 to 5, and he could write, read and recognise his own name, how dare you tell me that he can't learn to read and write? How dare you try to hold him back? I searched and I searched and I searched and I searched. Once I was allowed to take the basket. How was I allowed to take the basket? The job got too hard for his mum. She left us. I found the right person to put in front of him and he is smashing it. Because she cares. It costs nothing. She's a volunteer. I could throw example after example after example after example after example at you as to why the whole system is built to fuck us over. And I could throw you a gazillion examples on how the real church community just walks all over it without even trying. That is something that we can pick up and run with ourselves. We don't need to try and think, believe, like a bunch of mixo rabbits, that if we push a little bit harder on the pencil in the booth that'll make a difference. or drawing a dick on the thing's going to, you know. Wouldn't it be funny if next election nobody showed up? If that was just election day came around and their fudged numbers on population blew up and hit them in the face. There are some people crunching the numbers. They're doing the math, and the math ain't mathing. Australia does not have 26 million people in it. There is not 8 billion people in the world. Those numbers are fudged. How else do you think they keep swinging elections in certain directions? Between that and preference deals, they got all stitched up. You cannot make a difference with the pencil. Hell, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. It's only ever been mighty at the point of a sword, and a pencil, that can be erased at any given time. I mean, do you want it any more in your face than that? Just poke it in your eye. It's like a poke in the eye with a sharp pencil. We can do so much better, can't we? We can do so much better. Yeah, Dinkin. We can do so much better. All right. Do you think they're still going to do anything for you? Look at that, Pauline and Gina. Hey? And that lady from Israel. The one that gave Trump all the money. Trump and Gina Reinhardt. Pauline Hanson, Gina Reinhardt, cited at Trump's Halloween party. Do you think that skexy looking thing's going to do anything for you? Look at it. It's fucking skexy. I'm sorry, people, but like, just look at them. They're disgusting. They're putrid. That is putrid. It disgusts me. What's this all about? Pauline Hanson. Failed to what? Reinhardt pulls Lib donors' money to One Nation with Trump card. I mean, are you like serious? Anyway, where was we? Pauline Hanson. Oh, what's this? Go away. Pauline Hanson failed to declare another flight from billionaire Gina Rinehart's company. Exclusive One Nation leader has now updated register of interest to include the flight revealed by Guardian Australia. One Nation Senator Pauline Hanson had breached Senate rules declaring another flight taken on billionaire Gina Rinehart private jet more than 2 months late. Guardian Australia revealed on Tuesday that Senator Hanson had failed to declare a flight provided to Senator Hanson to travel between Melbourne and Sydney last October. Senator Hanson was gifted the flight after an event at a private agricultural college in Geelong last year, which she had attended for the official opening of a new building partly funded by Rinehart. What are we watching here? What are we witnessing? Seriously. Senator Hanson updated the register of interest to include the flight on Tuesday in breach of the Senate rules which state any change in a senator's interest should be notified to the registrar within 35 days. It is unclear what time the declaration was made, but it was dated on Tuesday. Hanson had failed to declare the flight in line with the parliamentary rules for senators' interests, which require that a declaration is made of any sponsored travel or hospitality received where the value of the sponsorship or hospitality exceeds $300. Asked at a press conference in Adelaide on Tuesday whether she had received any flights or transfers from Hancock Prospecting to or from the 19th of October event, Hanson initially said no. If you are going to try to say that I'm being funded by Gina Rinehart, the answer is no. Well, who's funding her then? We've seen all this before, people. We've seen all of this. This is the tech bros, the band of billionaire bastards, the banksters, the band of billionaire banksters and bastards, lifting Trump up on a silver plate. What happens when you're beholden to the billionaires? Pauline's beholden to the billionaires now. This isn't going to be looking after the people of Australia in our best interests. That'll be for the people of Australia, like Roundup is for weeds. And don't even go down the, Labor, Liberal, Greens, they all work for the tech billionaires. They go to the same building, clock on the same clock sheet. They all get paid the salaries that we pay, of ridiculous amounts of money, to pretend to have arguments based on whatever their advisors tell them to say, because they're not real bright. Hence why Jackie Lambie needed 2 advisors. And they represent legislature to us. They sell us legislature. They're selling, let that sink in for a minute. All your taxes are going to them selling us legislature that we then pay for in revenue. How many times do you want to pay these bastards over and over and over again? They're fucking parasites, a lot of them. They're grubs. Absolute grubs. They get allowances and salaries and revenue, and how many times over do they need to be paid for the same shit? And that's all it is shit. Now go back and listen to that speech again. And you tell me, is that the Islam that we're being told it is? No. That's Islam. That's a peaceful brother of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's, I mean, as you said, what Shahid Balsan's got to say about that. He's probably going to say he's a bit soft. And Shahid Balsan is like, nothing to do with them Western converts. They got nothing to do with Islam. They're radicalised fruitcakes. Have a look at their birth certificates. We don't get to see their birth certificates or anything, do we? Their passports, their citizenship. What citizenship did they come here on? From some war-torn, fucked up place in Africa? And we're told that that's Islam and they're Muslims? No. They're damaged goods. Should we be much more careful on who comes into the country? Yeah, we should probably be a little bit more careful on who leaves it as well. We need to keep good people and get rid of the bad ones. How do we keep the good ones? We encourage them to want to stay. Those who would set up shop and employ. Do we want the government of China or Japan in our country? No, we don't want any government in our country. We need governance of the people, for the people, by the people, in favour of the people. Ethnicity, who gives a shit? Everyone needs to put their religion down. Put your religion away. Get rid of it. Throw it in the garbage. That's all it is. It's garbage. Try having some faith.